once again doing the presentation on a very nice project. This is the extension of the existing metro in Copenhagen. I would sum up a very nice project, a very huge project in addition. So we did a tremendous amount of turnover, but the project already started, I would say, 3 years ago. So that was the first contact I had with this project was when Mr. Jörg Stang came into our office and mentioned that we have a tender somewhere in Denmark and where he needs some support on this issue as we are about to deliver to Denmark, and of course the environmental issues in the Nordic countries are a bit more severe than even in Germany. So therefore the weight of this project was longer than we suggested it. All the turnover for this project just was realized this year. And very often we like to criticize Mottrup and MC for everything which does not work. For this project, I would like to say thank you to all the colleagues here in Mottrup. I think it was a really wonderful teamwork from different departments that worked together. And just seen from the outside, I would say MC was a perfect, reliable partner to this project. Even in crisis of raw material supply, we were reliable for our deliveries. When there was any issue, we replied, I would say, in real time. So I think the impression we made for this project to our partners was a completely positive one. Also the impact for us, of course, is that we have a very high turnover to this very nice project. So just to give you some ideas of this project here. So some project information for you. So the project was already approved in 2015. And you have here some pictures of the already existing metro line in Copenhagen. So the project is taking place in the city of Copenhagen. So the internal city of Copenhagen has something like 600,000 inhabitants, but the main area of Copenhagen is much bigger. So there you have more than 1 million people living here. And what is called City Ring, of course you can see here is this red circle here. But there are some additions already realized to this project. And the extension of the M4 is shown here below. So to the already existing metro line, there was an addition of 5 stations that you can see here below. And the total project value was estimated at the beginning of 460 million euro. Just some more project information. So this project contains 4.4 long underground line. So it's a double line with 5 new stations. The internal diameter was realized with 2 TBMs that were running in both directions. With a diameter of nearly 5 meters. The contractors of these joint ventures were a German and a French company. So once we have Vinci Grand Projet, and we have the German Hochtief infrastructure, and they were combined in this joint venture tunnel, which was also our partner in this project here. You have some impressions here from the job site with the TBMs. And the stations, of course, they are going to be special. So there was a tender also for the architects to come up here with special ideas for the realization of the project. This is really something where they lay a lot of stress on the, let's say, art impact on the stations that are going to be realized. But we are not yet in the phases of the stations. So far they have just finished the tunnel, and now they are going to lay more focus on the stations here. And this just gives you an impression of how one station will look like afterwards. Perhaps I should have mentioned that the station in the middle, that is called Engersbrügge, that was a station where the TBMs were brought in and were also brought out. And all the drilling work was started from this station over there. And of course we had some application challenges, I would say. The overall situation, not only in Copenhagen, but in the majority of Denmark, is that you have a lot of limestone coming from the Ice Age. And of course, if you know Denmark in general, it is rather a flat country. So all the Dutch colleagues, of course, they also have a very flat country. But in comparison to Denmark, Denmark is even more flat than the Netherlands. So the highest point is not even 200 meters, which is, I would say, good for MC, because when you have a flat country, you have a lot of water. And it's also a situation here in Copenhagen, whenever you just dig a hole in Copenhagen, there's almost every time water. And all metro lines are below sea level. So that just gives you an impression of the station that I was just mentioning here, the Enghaver Brücke. You can see here this hole where the TBMs were brought in and also were brought out. And it's surrounded here just by the some part of harbor and of course of the sea. So the water is present in every corner here. And of course also for the groundwater there was a strong demand of the maintenance and its current level and the treatment of the water. And in total, 2,700 concrete rings were placed for this tunnel project here. So these concrete rings, of course, they had some sort of rubber connection, and of course, very often these rubber connections did not work like they should. And then we were brought in doing our injection here. So as I already mentioned, the commercial challenge was a long-running process. The first contacts were by our tunnel department, by Mr. Lars Landmark in 2019. And initially he tried to bring in, of course, the tunnel products. There was no discussion at the beginning about injection. Injection came later in. The preparation of documents took a long time. There were a lot of documents to be filled in with all the demands and requests for this project here. Mostly run by Mr. Jörg Stank. There was a risk assessment later on in May with focus on tunneling products, as I already mentioned, and then later on we could see that the tunnel products were not taken into account, but then came the injection products. Of course, there was also some process on the Danish side. All chemical products in Denmark need to be registered. So you just have to show what is inside the products. So even the formulation of the products are registered in this chemical database here, which is a bit unusual for us. And I would say in former times, nearly impossible, but nowadays we are able to do that. So that was not even a big question here to register these products here, and also to forward the information to our partner. And then suddenly, as you might know, there was some small COVID-19 issue, but in the middle of a pandemic, Markus Trein together with Daniel van Damme, they did a training on the job site. They handed out certificates, and I would say it worked perfectly. Very little afterwards, after this training on the 2133 flags and the Montagne injector rigs, the first orders came in, and it hasn't stopped so far. So we are going to have the last order, I think, next week or the week afterwards, and then we will have finished the project here. The first deliveries of injections started by the end of 2020, and as I said, they're going to be finished perhaps next week. But we're trying to get some more turnover out of this project when they're going to realize the stations, so we'll see if there's anything in or anything more in it for us. Some impressions for you. These are pictures from Markus, just taken in 2020.
Unofficially.
No way, of course. This is also an issue of this project, that we cannot simply publish information from the project here, so every picture needs to be certified or just allowed by this joint venture project here. So these pictures were just taken by Markus, but we are allowed to use them here. We already published them, which I will show later on LinkedIn. This is also a big story, and of course it is a big project. Wherever we are going to any customer or client in Denmark, we are speaking of this project here. even if it's not about injection, but everybody knows, of course, this big job site, and it provides, of course, a very good and positive reputation for all our activities in the Nordic countries. Yeah, this is just an insight into the tunnel. You just have an impression of all the concrete rings that were placed here, and some impression of the training that was done by Markus and by Daniel in that case. Do you have any addition to the training? What was your impression?
Yeah, maybe let's add that it was really good prepared also by our tunneling team and the whole team from MC, including you also. We came there, and usually, and everyone of you knows that when you come to a job site, plan 1 or 2 days more because nothing will be prepared. But in this case, we came there, we put our car. First of all, we were at the wrong job site or at the wrong project. Then we were taken to another one, and then everything started. Someone was waiting with the crane for us, with this to put the material to the tunnel. And very interesting was that we said, okay, please choose the site where you want to inject and where you want to do the training. And the training looked more like Daniel and I were working. Everyone was watching at us. And when we entered the tunnel, we knew why they did it, because they chose the place where something was in the water. And therefore, at the picture before, if you go one back, you see that the guy who's walking there has a completely sealed clothes with head on top and gloves and clothes. So that was the groundwater at this space was somehow contaminated with something, and you shouldn't get into contact with that. At that area, we should do the injection. So we were covered, but it was winter time, so it was really warm. So it's
but you were already in contact with this Italian team?
Yes. That the one you see there walking is one of the Italian guys.
This is probably something we have to add. Of course, it is a huge job site, and it is a very international team. Just can remember, at this moment there are just 2 Danish people in this organization working. All the others are Italian. There was some English person. There was also a German on the job site, which I realized after, I would say, 2 days. That he's also German, and then we managed also to speak in German. So a very international team, and therefore, also a very international impact on this team, on this project here. So speaking of our competitors, I was just 2 weeks ago also in contact once again with WEBAG. WEBAG was also present on this project here, but I just had the impression they simply lost track, so they were not any more in contact, and during COVID-19, they simply disappeared. And Markus and Daniel, they just hired a van and they went towards Denmark, unsure of the situation, if anyone would block them at the border, but luckily no one did. And so we managed to go there, and we were present all the time. Even if not physical, but we were present all the time, not like WEBAG did. So I would say it was not the persuading technical approach at this time here. We were simply more present and more reliable than other partners. The products we supplied to this job site here were mostly our Montan Inject, the TRX, some smaller amount of the 2133. Perhaps I have to add that this is a bit critical, of course, in Denmark, as all products containing isocyanate are really limited for usage in Denmark. The spray application of any isocyanate containing product is completely forbidden. So this is really strict. We have also a very small amount of the 1250 and also a very small amount of the cut. And the total turnover so far is more than 700,000 euro. Wow. We're going to take the next order.
Wow.
So 750,000 euro, I would say, in total. A very nice project, very easily running, I would say. And here are some more impressions that I took afterwards. So you can see this a bit later on, it looks more coordinated, it looks properly. There are still leakages inside, and just to give you an idea of what we did here. So mostly we had leakages here between the elements. There are just some small cracks, like the one you can see here. Also done with our product here. And this is of course the nice thing about this project. Our products are laying everywhere. So they're used, the empty buckets, they are laying everywhere, just used for all the rubbish on the job site. I mean, if you work for MC, it is really fabulous to see our buckets really lying at every place that you can imagine. It's really a very nice issue and a very nice project. And right now they are starting to do more and more work, of course, here at the station. They also did some injection in the station, where they also had some leakages, where they also used our products. So we thought they already had finished all the tunnel area, but no, they did also some injection in the station area. And for the outlook, as I already mentioned, whenever we can, we speak about this project here in the Nordic countries. Everybody knows it. There are a couple of other big infrastructure and also tunneling projects right now happening in the Nordic countries. We use as a marketing tool very often LinkedIn in the Nordic countries. And LinkedIn is very popular. I don't know if that's the same situation in your countries, but everybody in the Nordic countries is present on LinkedIn. So even a person working in a stock is present on LinkedIn, so you can really access everybody. So therefore we started by the beginning of this year also our presence in LinkedIn on the account of MC Bauchemie Nordic. You can see we don't have too many followers at this moment in time, as we also have just started all the activities. And usually we don't have too much organic impressions, so whenever we publish an information, I just copied here one information we did on the flow. You can see we created something like 600 impressions on this news here. And that was completely different when we published the information here on the injection. It was just the small information that we did the injection here, combined with the pictures from Akkus that we've already seen. That you can see, we created nearly 7,000 impressions. So that had really a huge impact, the project here. And also the attention from the people that are having a look on this project was much more intense than for all the other news we published. Okay, any questions from your side?
Let me say full marks. It shows what one can really achieve if one has got the proper and professional